99.9 Punk World Radio FM. We're here with the phenomenal Edmonton, Alberta-based melodic punk band. We're joined with the Detour, and they're making a detour right into our airwaves here this evening. The Detour. How are you all doing tonight?
Hey, DJ Immortal.
Doing great.
Great.
I gotta say, it was such an honor to have all you guys here on the radio station this evening. I really love what you guys are doing for the music industry. I love your music, so I'm super stoked just to give you guys a platform to showcase it here this evening.
Well, thank you so much for inviting us.
Yes, thank you. Got to be here.
Feeling is definitely mutual, but I know you all are very busy individuals. I'm not going to keep you away from your evening too long, but diving right into it, I want to take you back to the beginning of this amazing band. What is the story behind the Detour? Like, how did you all first meet and come together as one to form this band?
Well, I mean, I guess I can kind of start with, so we kind of like have had sort of a core group of musician friends for quite a long time here at Edmonton. And, you know, we've sort of been involved in different projects. And so in about 2023, Andrea and Mike and I decided that we really wanted to get back together into to performing, because we kind of taken a break from a long time from our last project, just because of life and the different responsibilities. And the time was right for us to just start, you know, we really wanted to start playing live music again and just get back into writing songs and just being a band family again. So Mike and Andrea and I got together and we met Kasha not too long afterwards. And then we met Nava, who was actually a mutual friend of some other musician friends of ours who are in the scene. And we just sort of came together as this idea of wanting to create some heavy modern music with a sort of melodic twist to it. And you know, as soon as we got together and just started bashing things out in the basement, like we just had the chemistry right away. So yeah, it's been just about almost a couple of years now that we've been doing things together. So
yeah, it will be 2 years in December, right?
Yeah, crazy.
You know, time just flies.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't hear you there, DJ Immortal. I think you're either you muted or I don't know what happened there.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, my apologies. But no, I was going to say time definitely does fly there. But also, I have to ask, what made you guys actually decide to come up with the name The Detour? Because, you know, it's short, simple, but yet it definitely has a zing to it as well. It's a phenomenal name. It's very catchy.
Well, Andrea,
I think oftentimes, like, when your life takes a different direction and it's a good one, sometimes at first it feels like it's a big detour, but it ends up putting you in the right direction. So I think that's kind of what I was thinking about when I thought of the Detour.
Yeah, in other words, sort of like the dreams and hopes that you start off, like when you start your journey, you go through changes, and as you go through the changes, you realize that you're changing as a person, and that your ideas become different, and so the Detour is kind of like symbolic of that. I guess that change into something better that you didn't expect.
And also, February 11th of 2024, you all released a single titled Mere Eyes. What is the story and inspiration behind this phenomenal song?
Oh, okay. Well, I guess maybe I'll just I'll talk about that a bit. So Mirror Eyes was actually, that was some lyrics that Andrea and I had actually been working on before we got the Detour together. And really sort of their inspiration behind it was really kind of because we were really into psychology, and especially Jungian psychology. And we were really sort of interested in this kind of the idea of how, like the relationships that you have with people. It's like there's two parts to the relationships that you have with people. There's the person as they are, like who they actually truly are. And then there's who you imagine them to be, and like sort of the narrative that you build around them. And what the song Mirror Eyes is about, it's really about how sometimes with people, it's like we basically turn them into mirrors of projections of ourselves, like things that we want to see come out or wish that we want to come out in our own lives. We sort of expect other people to be a reflection of that. So there's kind of like it's almost like a two-sided mirror thing, because you're seeing the person, but not really. You're seeing reflections of yourself, and that's clouding your judgment about how you actually see the person and how you feel about them. So that's what Mirror Eyes is about.
And it definitely is such an amazing song. Where can the fans check that song out if they haven't already done so? Like, is it available on all streaming services currently?
Yeah, Kasha knows all about that. Everything is available. She can tell you.
Yeah, it's all on like Spotify, Deezer, wherever you want to find it. YouTube.
You can
It
also
was February 11th. That's funny because that's my birthday. I didn't know it was released on my birthday. Yeah.
Me too, actually. That's funny.
Yeah.
we also have a main website in which we have all of our singles that are up there available for listening to. It's detour.band, right? Is it believe? Or is it the Detour? The Detour.band. So there you'll find a bunch of nutty snapshots of us, but you'll also find our our recorded music.
Yeah, with the lyrics on there.
Yeah, we put the lyrics up there too. That's right.
Yeah.
And it's really cool that you all actually put the lyrics up there, because a lot of bands, especially in the digital age, you don't really have access to the lyrics anymore unless you're like one of those big artists or bands, like kind of like, for instance, Bowling for Soup or Blink-182. Then you kind of find the lyrics, but when it's independent bands, a lot of them don't really make their lyrics accessible.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think lyrics, like the words themselves, is actually, it's really important for us to be able to kind of get across clearly sort of the things that we want to write about. So, and Nava and I, like when we write new songs, like we have kind of this process where Nava will send me a lot of the I guess kind of a stream of consciousness kind of ideas that she has, and we'll work together to sort of put it together in a form where there's stanzas and rhymes, but we really sort of want to kind of have this sort of this openness about the kind of the messages and the images that we want to project in our music. The Detour is not only just a good band to listen to, but we're also like in a literary project in a way.
Yeah, as Brunel was saying earlier, like we have an interest in the psychological aspect of the lyrics too. So I think putting them online just kind of shows, like you can go look into it and see our interest in like introspection, just the psychology of the mind, things like that. Like our words have a lot of meaning to them. So I think maybe that's a reason why we have them up on there too.
Well, in that way, nobody can misinterpret them.
Yeah,
Well,
that too.
really cool now how like this, sometimes we'll play a Detour show, and some people that really like our music, they'll be up there and they'll be singing along to when we play Mirror Eyes or Labyrinth or so, and people are singing along with the words, and it's still like so surprising to me, like, wow, you actually took the time to like to pay attention to what we were singing, and like and now it's like reflected back to us.
Yeah.
And also, just a few months after that, after Mirror Eyes actually released, April 6th, you all had the opportunity to perform at the Five and Dine in the iconic West Edmonton Mall. I was wondering if you can actually just tell us the story behind this performance, and of course, what was it like just performing in one of the biggest malls to exist in 2025?
Let's hear what the other girls have to say.
I'm just laughing because, Kasha, that was the time everybody was sick, right?
Yes, everybody was so sick.
Everyone was like deathly ill.
I remember, yeah. I think Andrea ended up in the hospital after the
like
show.
right after the show.
Yeah.
She's such a champ. She kept going. And she
I
did such a
know,
good
we were
job.
going to cancel, but she said, no, we're not canceling the show. And then she ended up in the hospital. And then Mike did like a week after, I think. So, yeah, it was cool bad. Experience for sure. And like there was like lots of people, and there was actually random people singing our song, so that was nice. And yeah, it was an interesting experience.
It was like the show us must go on experience.
Yes.
We got some cool photos.
Yeah, actually we did. Yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy. I think I probably had influenza for like a week afterwards or so. Like something was going around, and that was really just sort of like the show must go on kind of moment. So I'm glad that that at least we were able to make people happy with it. The Five and Dive, I mean, it was a good crowd. Like people were
it was and
they were dancing, and the sound for us maybe was not as ideal as we'd hoped it to be, but we delivered, so that was the important thing.
And it's in the biggest mall, like a huge mall.
Yeah.
So like DJ Immortal was saying, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you get there's a lot of tourists too that are just walking.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's you got people all the time. There's always someone there. So
there was people that probably would have never heard and then actually far to see.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate to say you guys definitely probably took a detour away from the after party and straight back to the beds. There was no after party after that one.
That's right.
Yeah.
And also, last summer, August 17th, 2024, the single Running Up That Hill was actually released. I was wondering if you can actually tell us a bit more about that song, but also what was it like working alongside James Seabrook at Two Bodies of Water Productions?
Go ahead, Nava.
Well, yeah, about that. I mean, it's one of our favorite songs. Like I know Andrea loves that song. Like we don't do a lot of covers. Like we would not record a cover, but that one we just loved it so much and we wanted to do our own kind of like 80s rock synth version of it. And we're just really happy with the way it turned out just because it's a little bit different than such a classic iconic song. And well, James Seabrook, these guys actually knew him like years before I ever got to meet him. So they had been recording with him a long time before I did, but he's amazing. But they can tell you so much more about him. Because how long have you guys known James Seabrook? Like how many years?
No, James since probably 2012. It was when we went and we first did some studio work with James. He used to have a different spot over in the West End over here, but James was always a class act. He was always like so easy to work with. Like James was always interested in kind of helping us to try to get the best out of our sound. He allowed us sort of like the creativity and the freedom to figure out how we were going to organize the recording, but he also had like a lot of good ideas, and we kept a lot of those ideas. James he's got a really good ear, and he's really, really fast with all of his gadgets. So and loads and loads of patience, which if you work with me in the studio, that's sort of a requirement. So he's always been a really good guy, and I consider him a brother. He's worked with a lot of big acts in town too. I don't know if I'm allowed to mention them here, but he's definitely picking up some business. For Running Up That Hill, Nava, like I really kind of think that was almost like a turning point for you, where like I think you really kind of came out of your shell, because some of the vocal tracks that you did for that song. I remember our friends JD and Kendra were in the studio with you, and when you started hitting some of those notes and doing some of those background vocals, like it made the hair stand up on the back of their necks, and it really did. And I think it's because you really got it. You found during those recording sessions like the real spirit of who you are as the singer of the Detour, and I think you've kept it ever since.
You know what? Thanks for reminding me, because I totally forgot about that fact. Like we had this vision at the end of that song to have like this kind of interpretive, like me kind of yelling really high notes and just making it really unique and different, and it wasn't working out. I don't know if you guys remember. I was like there for hours after. I think some of you had gone home and it was just me, James Seabrook, and two of our friends, JD and Kendra, who are also musicians, and like the scream you hear there, like it's probably the highest note I ever hit, but it was me like actually screaming out of anger because he kept saying, scream, you can do it, like go higher, and then I just made this like like this really high note.
I remember you said, I hope it's recorded because I'm never gonna do that again.
Exactly. I'm like, that high note will never repeat again. That was a once in a lifetime.
And sometimes those moments of brilliance in the studio only happen under duress.
Totally. It's like a natural, authentic thing. It can't be repeated.
Brenda was recording his Intervisions album. I think that he was put under a lot of duress as well, and I think they squeezed some of his best performances out of that for that album as well. So it's a common thing.
Thanks for reminding me about that. Totally forgot.
And also, as we just talked about, two amazing singles, but you had three other ones, and we're not going to go single to single because, like, you know, that's just not going to be interesting very much. But with that being said, in 2024, from April all the way to August, you released 5 singles. But with that being said, will there actually be any new music in 2025 from the Detour? If so, what can we expect from the new music when it does get released?
So I think we're planning on doing our next recordings maybe in early 2026. Right now we're in the process of doing some songwriting. So we're sort of adding some different influences to our sound and sort of changing up our technique a little bit. So we're planning we're planning to record some more in 2026, possibly with James. And yeah, so right now I think we're in a little bit of like we're cooking something really special, and we did lots of shows so far, and we've kind of like we've gone through almost like sort of the first wave of the Detour, I'd kind of like to say, you know, and now it's like we're working on kind of like what the Detour is going to have something even fresher and even more exciting the next time that we play live and the next time we release a single.
And with that being said, obviously we talked about shows, we talked about new music, we talked about singles. What is next for the Detour aside from the songwriting and potentially the new music in 2026? Like, is there anything we happen to miss during this evening's broadcast that you all still want to touch on, talk about, or promote when it comes to the Detour here tonight on 99.9 FM?
Well, other than the recordings that we want to do, I mean, like we're hoping that we can we're hoping that we can get into some different venues here in Edmonton. Hopefully, get our name around, and hopefully play some different spots around here. Last place that we played was I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Dive Bar, but that's actually it was a very good venue as well. So hopefully we'll be able to return and make another appearance there. I sort of wanted to kind of touch on maybe sort of our influences, because I think maybe what the audience maybe might not know as much about is, I guess, kind of like where the Detour sound comes from. Would that be something everybody would be interested in talking about?
Most definitely. If you want to share that, for sure.
Okay. Andrea, do you want to start?
No.
Okay. Well, it's really interesting because I think like, so for Mike and I mean, like, you know, we have sort of a background in maybe a little bit more classic rock and roll. And I think when we started doing the Detour, that was kind of an opportunity for us to, I guess, tool around with a little bit more high gain guitar and, you know, things like, you know, heavier guitars and harmonics and just different techniques. I play with like a Floyd Rose guitar now. So, you know, so we kind of brought some of that classic influence, but like Andrea and Nava were mentioning, like there's lots of influences of singers like Kate Bush, Sinead O'Connor, Tori Amos. Like there's lots of really, really good songwriters that from the 90s and 80s that influenced Nava, and so we try to bring it together into something that's heavy, but also has, you know, some very important and rich melodic songwriting content as well. Anybody want to add anything?
Yeah, that's a good point. Like all of us have such different backgrounds. Like I know Kasha loves like punk and metal, and me and Andrea like love the 90s, like totally the grunge 90s.
Yeah.
Mike has kind of like a metal / country background, and Brunel's like funk and every kind of thing. So it's like I feel like it's kind of a comprehensive multi-genre comes together to make the Detour, which is really interesting. Like we all have pretty different interests and genres, so I feel like we kind of bring that in really well to make it into a unique sound.
Yeah, and also, I mean, like the sound of, you know, because music is mostly, people discover music on the internet, and through things like they might hear clips of it on TikTok or Instagram, or, you know, like the way that people get their sound bites now of music is so different than it used to be when you would either hear it on Much Music or you would pick up a new cassette from like A&B Sound or so at the time. Now it's like the way that music comes to us is so different, and so trying to create a sound that like is catchy and that is sort of relevant to modern times, and that, like, you know, and also sounds great on the internet. I mean, that's been that's a new challenge
for sure.
And before we actually part ways here tonight, I know you shared your website earlier on in the interview, but with that being said, where can we actually find the Detour all across social media platforms if we haven't already followed you guys? Because I do know sometimes some people aren't already hitting that follow button, but you guys are such a phenomenal band. I feel like they need to be following to stay updated on everything you all are currently doing.
Thank you. Yeah, we're on Instagram, on Facebook, so you can find us there.
Yeah, we can definitely drop some links in the. I don't know if we have a chat or anything, but we can. If you can find the Detour on Instagram, the Detour on Facebook, we're pretty easy to find.
But I got to say, my apologies.
We'll just say it again. The Detour.band. That's our main website, and that's where you'll find the links to all of our social media.
And I got to say, first and foremost, thank you all so much for giving not only myself, but the radio station Airways a bit of your time. It was such an honor speaking with all of you. And again, thank you so much for your time. And I hope you all have a phenomenal week.
Thank you so much for having us.
You're most certainly welcome.
All right.